Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, General. How are you today?
Afternoon, Honorable Member. I'm fine, and you?
I'm good, thank you. General, do you realize that with great responsibility, the responsibility that you carry, comes great sacrifice as well?
I know, Honorable James.
You're aware the sacrifices that comes with this job.
I sacrifice every day, day and night. You know, you know better. You've phoned me anytime. Yeah, thanks.
I would have loved to hear you say, I sacrificed those parties that I was invited to by General Sibia.
Well, I didn't know there are issues, Honorable James.
Because right now, do you realize that it could have been a setup?
Yes,
Knowing that what we know now,
yes,
because parties are networking opportunities.
correct.
So General Sibia was flexing, showing off his muscle, inviting the cartel, having you there as well, and exposing you to a cartel. Do you realize that? Now, when we look at everything.
Yeah, now I realize, yes, might have.
Yeah, you were being set up properly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I want to move straight away to what you and I touched on earlier on, right? Because ek het nog genoeg gehoor van PKDT. I want to hear about Gauteng counterintelligence, because that's where it's burning. Am I right?
You are correct, Honorable Member.
That we are barking up the wrong tree here. Am I right? By probing so much on PKTT and not probing about what's happening in the STARS team. Because this is where our eyes and ears are meant to be. We've heard a lot. We've heard many testimonies come and many people testify before this committee, generals, and give us the exact status about the PKTT. We haven't heard anything about the Gauteng counterintelligence. Can you tell us here today, since you said earlier on that your analysis showed that there's a clear link between this task team, that there was intention to stop the work of this task team, and this is why the disbandment of PKTT came along. Am I right?
Yes, Honorable.
I want to then ask you, how many active cases does this task team have?
I don't have figures, but
more or less.
No, it's quite a number. Must be between 10 and 20.
Between 10 and 20 cases. Okay, what is the nature of these cases?
One is murders, case of drugs, case of gangs, cartels working together. Those are the type of cases.
Drugs, gangs, the ones General Konaze was referring to. Remember General Konaze said that they're setting up our communities, selling drugs, distributing drugs. Gangsters, we cannot get a grip on it. He spoke about the cartels.
Yeah, it's about the manufacturers and distribution,
of
import,
drugs.
export.
Everything that's like a department, like a company with various departments.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Honorable Member, as we say, it's a counterintelligence investigation. We can just go as far as that.
Yes, I know. What is the progress of these investigations, these 10 or 20 investigations?
So you are asking, as I tell you, how far are we with the other three?
Yeah, before someone tries to stop it again, we want to know.
No,
because it seems like there's heat coming from this team.
Yeah, no, we are getting there, Honorable Chair. It's safe to say so.
You can't give me more.
I can't say we are getting closer to who, but the investigation is progressing quite well.
Any arrests made to date?
Any arrests?
Yes, there has been.
Well, this arrest, they Yes, they've been made and they interlinked, yes.
Kat Matlala is one of the arrests that's been made.
Correct, Honorable.
Molefe, one of the arrests that's been made.
Correct.
35 charges of all sorts, Molefe. Murder, everything, drugs, same with Kat. Am I correct?
Correct, Honorable Chair.
And you say this is the task team that wanted to be stopped. I want South Africans to have a clear picture of this team, the task team that the minister intended stopping. So you are saying to us today that the minister intended to stop a task team that made arrests of people that has 35 charges, Mr. Molefe, of murder and all sorts of things, drug dealing, drug manufacturing, the same with Mr. Kat Matlala. Is that what you're saying, sir?
I said so earlier, Honorable
Thank
Chair.
you, sir.
Yes.
One of the cases in this task team, does it involve Senzo Miyewi? I can't pronounce that, but anyway.
Senzo.
Can someone say that surname? Damki.
No. Meiwa is a different, it's a cold case team that is dealing with Meiwa case.
Jerry Boshogo,
Correct, yes, same.
part of it. Okay. Murder of witness D.
Murder of witness D is the Madlanga investigation task team. Of
Okay.
course, it does have elements of both, yes, but it's a different one.
All right. So it is clear today that we should have been asking more questions about this task team, but clearly you also cannot reveal too much about it because of the sensitivity of the nature of the cases being investigated here and the links to politicians.
Yeah, no, we can't reveal much. There is still.
But there's a politician linked here earlier on, and you said earlier on that the wrong task team was disbanded and the politician is the minister.
No, I never said the politician is the minister. The question was, is there politicians and
No,
senior
sir.
police
We
officers?
asked you earlier on, this morning when there was a clarity question, I said, did the minister disband the wrong team? And you said yes.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, no,
So by virtue of you saying yes, the politicians involved in this is the minister. He's one of the people that's been earmarked in these investigations because of the links, because of the chats, because of the exchanges that has been presented. We are
Yeah, no,
connecting the dots here. So it
Yeah.
is the minister.
yeah, no, that is under investigation, yes.
General praat net die waarheid.
Yeah.
That's all.
Ek praat, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, we want to feel you today.
But I will not venture into investigation.
Yeah, but there are certain things where the writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting to know that.
No, there's still more charges coming for those that are out there. Even those that we've arrested already. There's
Okay.
more coming.
Let's not compromise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to compromise the cases because I actually want to see these people that's been feeding drugs to our communities behind bars. Because it definitely is a cartel. It is a cartel. We thought that it's a syndicate, but it's a cartel simply because a cartel has basically infiltrated even the state and now serving as ministers. That is the extent, because that is exactly like the likes of Pablo Escobar. I'm going to move on. You previously indicated that there were efforts to disband the GC ops. What do you think, what was the main motive behind this and who stood to benefit?
As I said earlier, Honorable Chair, if it got disbanded, so of course those that would have benefited this arrest of Matlala Ketim, if would not have been there, or they would have gone out of bail forever. So they would have benefited, them and others would have benefited.
So if the minister had disbanded this team, we would have seen an individual, a criminal with 25 charges and 35 charges of murder walk the streets today. Is that what you're saying?
I said what I said, Honorable.
I want us to be
Yes.
so clear. I want South Africans to hear
Yes,
this.
no. Yes, if the team was disbanded, yes, you wouldn't have these people going for trial now. You wouldn't have had them.
Based on the evidence presented in various forums, including commissions of inquiry, do you believe the criminal syndicates or even the cartel structures have infiltrated SAPS where we're at now? Have infiltrated SAPS where we're at now?
Yes, no, we do agree they have infiltrated, correct? They've infiltrated the SAPS, yes.
So the cartel has infiltrated SAPS. The cartel has infiltrated the state, and the cartel has infiltrated also SAPS, which is basically the same thing, but
Agree, Honorable Chair, but not only SAPS, other arms of state also.
as well.
Yes.
So what General Konazi said was true. When you reference the infiltration of the various departments.
Yeah, no, we agree, Honorable Chair.
I want to ask counterintelligence. Counterintelligence is meant to probe and investigate police officers based on if there's a threat or a risk associated to them. Am I correct? Within
And,
SAPS, they sort of investigate police.
Yeah, that's part of their mandate.
Okay. So in all of this that has been happening for years now, where was counterintelligence in all of this? Where are they in all of this? We've never even heard of counterintelligence. Policemen are compromised on a daily basis. We hear about police being corrupt in our communities. Why don't we see the deployment of counterintelligence to various stations where you hear that, police are corrupt, they get taking chocho from drug dealers, and we hear all these sorts of things. Where is counterintelligence? And why are they so inactive?
Well, after we increase the numbers, you won't see them, but at least you will see their actions. There's quite a number of takedowns that they do now in terms of, I spoke earlier about an arrest of a brigadier. That's counterintelligence, just an example. So
give us your annual stats. How many policemen have they taken down? Now that we know that SAPS has been captured by a cartel, how many members has this counterintelligence department, unit, whatever you call it, taken down?
It's quite a number, Honorable Chair, through you, Honorable Member, but I don't have figures. I just gave an example of one, but there is more than that they are busy with, and yeah, I'm sure some will see soon unfolding.
Okay. There were 3 members that appeared before this committee not so long ago, and members gave us, said that there were drugs stolen from the labs. It was on camera. The drugs were in the bin. They reported it. They gave us a list of dozens of generals to which they reported this to. It was Colonel Ramolebo, Colonel Malachi, Colonel Ramalepe. Do you know them? Are you familiar with these names?
I am familiar with the names, Honorable.
Yeah. And they told us that they went from pillar to post. And at one stage, someone told them about, no, we can't deal with this now. You're just going to open up another can of worms. They reported victimization. They reported about drugs going missing. And they went to everyone and no one assisted them, including you. Can you tell me how far is this matter?
Honorable Chair, through you, Honorable Member, the matter, they did come to me to report. I took the file, I tasked the Division Inspectorate, and the Inspectorate investigated the matter. And most of the matters in there have been investigated before and finalized, some not really. or we don't know what happened in them. And inspectorate did identify that there are certain areas which they don't know exactly what happened. Then I says, okay. They gave me feedback recently, I think Thursday last week. Then I said to the inspectorate, now I'm asking you to go and investigate those areas. But some of the matters, for example, some I think they were accusing some brigadier's appointment wrongly, and that person was dealt with, fired. And then, but the person went through triple SPC, the arbitration, won the arbitration, and is back. So, but some of those matters has been attended, but there are those that are not finalized, which I task this team now to say, now, you're not going to investigate, we're rectifying, you do this, you do this. For example, at the forensic, I introduced that there be a SOP in terms of the movement of drugs, how it should be done. So that's a new thing. But I went further to engage the NDPP to say, I can't be sitting with a huge lot of drugs. Internationally, they are no more doing that. They confiscate drugs, take samples, destroy, and you keep your samples. If the sample says drugs, then you know what you destroy as 10 kg is drugs. So, fortunately, the current NDPP is buying into that, and we are finalizing our SOP in that regard. That will reduce for me that I must keep looking for storage of drugs. It will reduce drugs a lot. So we'll only have a little bit of samples. But there has been SOPs in that regard. And some of the matters, without specifying one by one of these members, I said they must be investigated, and we start rectifying. The team gonna start rectifying. I haven't seen them because I saw the investigation team only on Thursday.
Okay.
So I haven't seen
So-
these members to give them feedback yet.
All right, so you intend giving them feedback on their matter?
I will after
Please,
year
Chair.
after, because I was busy preparing to come here. So I will be able to give them that feedback.
Thank you very much. And then I have one more, not one, but two more questions.
But you should not only accept that they are victims, because they might also somewhere be wrong, because some of them were found.
That's fine, General, as long as there's movement
we are-
and as long as there's communication. I also want to know, you touched on exhibits in the lab. Now, this is the reason why they go missing, because these cartels and these cronies within SAPS, they create the problem, you throw money at it, and then the cycle starts all over again. I want to ask the exhibits, all the drugs, because I've been part of the drug dismantling operation a few times. For how long do these drugs stay in the lab? Let's say we have a big drug bust at Owatambo now and we confiscate millions worth of drugs. How long does it stay in your lab? What's the longest time drug exhibits has stayed in that lab?
Well, they stay in the storage, not necessarily in the lab, but they stay until the case is
Which
finalized.
is how long? Give us an estimation of years.
Well, it depends when the case finalized. Some cases take 5 years, 7 years, 8 years.
So we're saying we have a drug bust today, and this drug bust will only conclude within 5 to 7 years.
If there is an arrest, but if there is no arrest, get tested and disposed of. Where there are areas where we do confiscations, for example, and you end up not knowing who's the owner of the lab, especially those labs that are in the farms.
Before I forget this question, just while we're on drugs, you mentioned earlier on the case that happened at DCS where the drugs was found outside with the member. I agree with you that she couldn't be charged. You said that this case, for some weird reason, happened under the 6th administration. And this case keeps on popping up. This case where they alleged that General Konaze didn't make a drug arrest. Can you tell us why this case keeps popping up?
I've got no idea, Honorable Chair, through you, Honorable Member. I have got no idea why it came all of a sudden during this administration. But you'll recall what General Mkhwanazi said, I think the portfolio committee, it was between communication between him and Mkhosi. That's how the case ended up coming back again. But I don't know the details, why something that was resolved come up now.
Do you think it's an attempt to smear General Konazi?
That's what I think, nothing more than that. That's what I would think. Yeah.
General, I just want to see. If drugs and firearms are leaking from within SAPS structures, which is extremely concerning. Looking at what happened over the weekend, the mass shooting in Eldorado Park, where 6 people were shot, a young girl, 18 years old, shot in her head. Looking at the previous week, the mass shooting in Westbury. Looking on the Cape Flats, the mass shooting on Lavender Hill. I think there were 3 or 4. All these mass shootings, drug-related. Looking at the weekend, when I watched 2 gangs in Hanover Park, a gang fight live on TikTok for 2 hours, where eventually they were shooting at each other, smashing people's homes, and not a single SAPS van showed up. Does that not qualify General Konazi's statement where he said they are setting us up, our communities up for failure? Does that not directly link to this cartel that you are investigating?
For now, I wouldn't say, but yes, it's possible that eventually there is drugs. Where there are gangs, there is drugs. So there should be, in one or another, a link. Hence, in terms of drugs, there is agreement with the NDPP. And we spoke about firearms, but we haven't finalized it because on firearms also, my view is, which I told him, is that normally firearms are not required at court as evidence. They accept the 112 statement. So why should then we keep the firearm all along, which we can test the firearm, there's proof it's firearm, and it is this specific firearm, and then we destroy it. So that part also I am currently exploring it with the NDPP so that we can see if that can be accepted and the judiciary accept, then we'll have no more these huge or big storages of firearm. As they come, then we know. We sample and we destroy.
Thank you so much, General. Thank you, Chair.